Welcome to tonight's workshop on elopement and children on the autism spectrum. We are going to start quickly because we have a lot of information in tonight's presentation, and at the end of the presentation, I will open it up for live questions. Everyone who attends tonight's lecture will be getting a survival guide of their very own, so congratulations on that. You will definitely get a lot of wonderful information in our survival guide. And if you stay through our question and answer period, you will be entered into a raffle with a 30-minute session one-on-one with the BCBA with a coach of your choice. So enjoy those prizes. Please stay with us through the Q&A. For everyone else, if you do have a question, please either post it in our Q&A box or hold your questions until the end of the presentation, and then I'll ask everyone to raise their hands and I will get through as much coaching as possible. So without further ado, let's get to tonight's topic on elopement and children with autism spectrum disorder.
I remember when I got pregnant with my daughter, I felt so grateful and so blessed. My life up until that point had been pretty rocky. I'd had a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, and I finally thought that I was turning a corner and God was blessing me with this beautiful gift of a child. And I was just, yes, finally something was going in my way. And then when she was born, she was just absolutely perfect. I had all of these dreams and expectations for her. I thought of all the things that I thought she was going to do. Yeah, good girl. Right after her first birthday, I started to notice her behavior change. She went from, saying nap. She was obsessed with Dora the Explorer, Mama, Dada. She was saying it all. Good girl, say nap. Hit all of her milestones up to that point. She walked at 1, she was eating solid, she just, she looked really good. And then I just remember her, it felt almost overnight or very quickly where her demeanor just changed. She went from this super happy baby to crying and tantruming, just frustrated all the time. And I remember saying to my mom one day during one of these years, she's like, where did my happy baby go? But I didn't think anything past it. I think I was kind of not ready to fathom that something could be off, even though maybe the telltale signs were there. Dressed. Gotta get dressed. Gotta get dressed, honey. Time to get dressed. She started to lose the words that she had named. She wasn't saying mama anymore. She wasn't saying ma'am. She just seemed really disconnected from us. Instead of playing with her toys, she would take them, dump them all out of her toy box, and just start twisting them around her hands aimlessly with no intended purpose. Really kind of in denial about it. And then I remember one day we were in the middle of a store, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, she just started screaming and yelling like somebody had slapped her. I don't even know what the problem was, and I was so mortified. I didn't even know what to do. I was so scared. I literally just left the half full cart in the store, picked her up, and just ran out of there. I never went to that store again. I just didn't even know what to think, and that was probably the first time it really kind of stung for me that maybe something is wrong. They didn't diagnose her right away. They said that she was too young for a diagnosis. I didn't even know what they meant when they said that. I was like, diagnosed with what? I just had no idea what they were talking about. And then they said, we'll come back in if you're not seeing progress. I said, okay, and a couple months later, I'm watching these speech therapists play with her on the floor. I'm not seeing any progress. It felt like she was getting a little worse. And then we went for our 2-year-old wellness visit, and the doctor said that she was behind if she wasn't using 20 words with intent. And that was probably just the knife to my heart. At that point, I really couldn't deny that something was up with her anymore. So then I called the county back in, and then she was diagnosed on the spectrum. And I remember that day, and it was worst days of my life. It was my darkest hour. I could easily say that. As a mother, as a woman, as just a human being, it was probably one of the hardest times I had ever gone through. And I remember just being I went from being so happy with God, so thankful, to being so pissed at him for doing this to her and wrecking this beautiful gift he had given me. And for a while there, I struggled. I struggled to figure out what this meant, or what we were going to do, or how this was going to define her. All those dreams I had for her future were just completely shattered, and I had no idea what was going to happen next. And I went from just hopeful to just complete blank when I thought about the future. One night I was thinking, I'm going to die one day, and who's going to care for her like her? And something about that thought just snapped me out of my depression and my anger and my fear, and said, listen, we got to get to work here. I promised that when she was born, I was going to be the best mother I could be to her. And that promise, it hasn't changed. In fact, she needs me more now than ever, not less. She needs me now more than ever. And I didn't know at the time what we were capable of, or what having those changes, that mindset shift for me was going to do. But I wanted to know that at the end of every night, I could look myself in the mirror with confidence and say, do everything you could, Michelle, to give her the best possible life. And if the answer was yes, then that was a good day. And I wanted the answer to be yes, 100%. And no matter where the cards fell, I know I could leave this earth saying I gave her everything I had, no regrets. And as I've navigated this world with her and walked away that day after having that thought, I really just grabbed the bull by the horns. I became her fiercest advocate. I'm not a special education master's degree teacher. I never had any formal training in ABA, but I knew that I was going to learn whatever I needed to learn to be really strong for her. And Juliana lost all of her language. Cheerios? You don't want Cheerios. Okay. She was nonverbal when she was diagnosed. Show me what you want. Okay. We taught her sign language. Show me. Juliana, show me. Good girl. Then she went from sign language to word approximations. Then she started to speak. She went from the most restrictive preschool environment. She was in a 614, most restrictive preschool, special education preschool environment could be. To now where she is almost 8 years old. She's in the second grade class in a gen ed school, integrated class with typical peers. She speaks beautifully now. What did you like about the troll experience? She has a personality. She has conversation skills. There's still things that we need to work on, but for the most part, her future went from black to now having possibilities. And none of that could have happened had I not kind of gotten out of my way and really hit the ground running and started to take action for her. And I can't say that I do that for every parent I coach, but what I can tell them is I will have them feeling like I did, looking myself in the mirror, you looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I was everything I could be for her today. I have no regrets. And whatever happens, happens. It's really for us as parents to know we fulfilled the duty that we promised when we had these children, was the best versions of ourselves to live, to raise these children. I've helped now hundreds of mothers, coach them one-on-one to do the same things I did, to help them to be strong, to help them to craft plans where we're seeing constant progress. This is what I want to do. I want to give you the chance that Juliana's had. I want to give you every opportunity to give your child that happiness.
Today was a day full of happiness. Thanks for friends. Thanks for memories and great times. I hope you remember. Happy birthday, love you.
I love that video every time we play it. I love a happy ending. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about elopement. Okay, elopement and wandering. This is, now, let me preface this by saying, one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this presentation for this month's workshop is because school is ending and we're heading into the summer. Now, while many of my students will be attending their school's 6-week summer program, some of my students will not. And some of my students will be going on vacation, and some of my students will have family visiting, etc. This is a time where elopement is very likely to occur. There are some times of the year, which we will discuss in the presentation, where it's more likely for elopement to occur, and that's usually over the summer and at the beginning of a school year when the child is getting used to a new environment, maybe some new demands, maybe some increased anxiety. So you can see what those two periods of time have in common. So let's talk a little bit about elopement, also known as wandering, which is the tendency to leave the safety of a responsible person's care or safe area, which may result in potential harm or injury. Some individuals with autism have challenges understanding safety issues and communicating with others. For example, such a child might run off from home to play in the pond down the street and may not be able to say his name or where he lives. This can happen quickly, even under constant supervision. I remember hearing a study that they did years ago that it can take like under 7 seconds for a child to disappear, for a child without a disability to disappear. So for a child that is even more impulsive, maybe less likely or able to ask for permission, you can see how it can happen very easily. 49% of children with autism engage in elopement. 35% attempt to wander at least once per week. More than 1/3 of children with ASD who elope cannot communicate their name, their address, or their phone number. Children with ASD who are verbal might still have difficulty communicating while stressed, confused, or afraid. 29% of elopement occurs from a classroom or school. Think about that. 1/3 of elopement happens while your child is at school or in the classroom, where you assume they're being supervised by a person or multiple people who are there specifically for the purpose of watching your child, not also running a household or dealing with siblings or a job, another job, etc. And it happens 1/3 of the time from a classroom. 42 of autism-related elopement involve children 9 or younger, almost half. Of the lethal outcomes for a child with ASD who eloped, 90% of those are related to accidental drowning. Life vests on camping and boating trips should always be worn. If you're only making your child wear a life vest when you're actually actively playing on the water or on the boat, that will protect them at that time. But if you're at your campsite or your cabin and your child elopes to go to the water, which many kids with autism happen to like the water for sensory reasons, they can end up running towards the water. And if they are not wearing their life vests at that time, it is very likely that they could drown. So let's talk more about autism and elopement. Elopement is usually a form of communication. Your child is trying to say, I need something, I want something, I want to go see that dog, I want to go look in that window, I want to go check out that thing over there. Or I don't want to be here right now because of a social demand, a behavioral demand, a communication demand, etc. Children with ASD will elope, wander, or bolt to get something of interest or to get away from something or someone bothersome who's placing a demand or making them transition. Home-related elopement incidents typically spike between April and August. So again, heading into the summer, that spring break period, and heading into the summer. School-related elopement increased through the fall and winter months. Again, while they're getting used to a new environment, coming back from that Christmas break, etc., or holiday break, sorry. Let's understand elopement. When children elope, as I said, they're trying to communicate something. When you figure out what they're trying to say, you can help them communicate that need in a much safer way. Some examples include, if your child loves water, make sure that he or she often goes to the swimming pool. Make it part of a schedule that he or she knows well. If he or she has a special interest, include that in their routine so that they don't need to elope to access it. If your child's escapes are related to specific stimuli, try to prevent them. When you can't prevent them, be sure to be extra vigilant in their presence. As an example, if you know your child is going to run to pet any dog they see, and you now see somebody coming around the corner walking their dog, you might want to make sure you have a good hold on your child so that they're not going to just bolt across the street to an unfamiliar dog. Your child might love to run and explore, so you want to teach them to request this activity using words or signs or pictures. So basically, if your child loves water and is trying to elope to get to a pool or a lake or a pond or the ocean, make sure that your child knows we're going to access this regularly. You don't need to run away or escape in order to get it. It's coming up on your schedule. And here's a picture schedule, and look, the pool is right there on it. We will get to the pool. We just have to do these other things first. If they love to go to the candy store, again, make sure that that's part of their routine. After lunch, we go to the candy store. After we finish homework, we go to the candy store, and then we come home and get ready for dinner. If their escapes are related to specific stimuli, again, you want to be vigilant in their presence. Like I said, if you know that they are going to elope anytime they hear a loud siren, and again, now you see a fire truck turning down your corner, you're going to want to hold tight to your child so they don't run away just in case that siren happens to go off, because the sight of that truck has been paired with the sound of the siren. So if they see the truck, even if the siren isn't playing, they might run, thinking it could go off at any time. Is your child afraid of animals, or is he or she drawn to them? Both will give you information on when they may be likely to run towards or away from something. Now, a lot of times, since this is a way to communicate something, sometimes your child is eloping from something that is stressful. Things that can be very stressful for your child that they may try to elope from include unfamiliar settings, being off from their typical routine, which again happens very frequently at the beginning of the summer, then being home from school becomes the routine, and then bang, the fall comes and a new routine comes into play where you have to get used to going back to school again. Then you might have a winter break, and then bang, you have to come back and get used to being on a routine again. And then you might get used to that, and then there's a spring break, and that's a long break, and now you have to get used to that transition and that routine again. So being off your typical routine can be a stressor that could contribute to elopement. Public outings. Again, the stress of being in a crowd where people can be loud unexpectedly. There could be unexpected movement and activity. There could be more social demands. You have to be more behaviorally appropriate than you need to be when you're in the privacy of your own home. Somebody might want to talk to you. Someone might ask you to do something, etc. You might be asked to share a toy. Another child might approach you. So there's a lot of potential stress that can be part of a public outing. Transition periods, having to transition from one activity to another, even if it's of equal value to your child, especially when they have to transition from something more preferred to something less preferred, something they want to do to something they really don't want to do or don't want to do as much. Holidays can be a big stressor for everyone. And believe me, if you are stressed, your child is stressed. They will pick up on your stress, okay? Your children look to you to make everything okay. You are the basis of their safety and their security. And if you seem like everything is cool, everything is under control, you're calm, you're handling everything, then they feel that sense of security that no matter how crazy things get, the person in charge has it under control. But when you start feeling anxious and they pick up on your anxiety, well, if the person that solves everybody's problems is stressed, then I should really be stressed because that means something crazy is about to happen or could happen. So your children definitely pick up on your stress levels. If you're stressed during the holidays, they're stressed during the holidays. During holidays, their routine is typically off. They're typically eating food that they don't eat on a daily basis, maybe that they only eat once or twice a year. So it's unfamiliar. It smells different. It looks different. It feels different. It tastes different than the food they're used to eating every day. There might be unfamiliar people, extended family members and or friends and their family in the home during a holiday. There might be rituals and routines associated with the holiday that's different from your child's typical routines. They might have to engage in very different behaviors. They might have to wait a lot longer than they typically have to wait. They may not be able to go first. They might have to wait their turn. They may have to share their space or their belongings. There might be certain things that they have to do before they're allowed to eat their dinner. Which may or may not be a dinner they want to eat. Vacations, again, for many of the same reasons, although during a vacation, you might add an unfamiliar environment. So now we're going from my safe, secure home to an unfamiliar environment where I don't necessarily understand everything that's going to be expected of me. I may or may not see family or friends that we haven't seen in a while, so I may not be very familiar with them. They may not understand me or my behavior. I might have to share and wait. They might eat different food than I'm used to eating. They might have different routines than I'm used to having, etc. Camping trips, again, for all of those reasons, not understanding the expectations, sleeping on an unfamiliar surface in an unfamiliar place with unfamiliar noises, outdoor gatherings, a recent move to a new home or a new school, visiting any unfamiliar setting, pursuit of their special interest. Again, if your child loves trains and now they see a train track and they're like, I got to go see that train, that might cause them to bolt towards the tracks. So it could be that they're just trying to get to their special interest. They might be trying to escape uncomfortable sensory stimuli, which could be a part of any of these things that we've just discussed. It could be too loud. It could be too hot. It could be too cold. It could be too crowded. It could be too unfamiliar. The surfaces might be different. The sleeping arrangements might be different. The sheets might be different. It might smell different. It certainly looks different. There are different noises and environmental stimuli. Maybe I'm allergic to some of the plants out in where we're camping near, and I just haven't been near them before, and now I'm having some allergies that are making me extra uncomfortable, etc., etc., etc. So ask for help. That's what we're here for, okay? Elopement can be dangerous, so don't be afraid to ask for help when trying to prevent it. That is what we're here for. As much information as we can provide in these workshops, this is only like the very tip of the iceberg in terms of information and resources that we have that we can use to help you and your family. A lot of the strategies and suggestions that we present in these workshops are all your first line of defense. These are the things that everyone should try first. And if these things don't work, then you're going to need more help. You're going to need more alternative suggestions. Sometimes implementing some of the strategies that we discuss in the workshop, you might need some help with. It might sound very easy and logical when I'm explaining it during the workshop, and you certainly can go back and review these videos later on if you need to refresh your memory. But there's nothing like having access to somebody through Facebook meeting, post, email, texts, one-on-one meetings, regularly scheduled group meetings. So again, ask for help. And if you need more help from us, stick around, book a call, press the link in the chat box. We're going to get into later how we can provide you even more help than we do during these workshops. So ask for help. Elopement, as I mentioned before, can be dangerous. There are children, unfortunately, that don't survive their elopement experiences. I recently, not last summer, but the summer before last, one of my students eloped from his house into his neighbor's yard to get into their pool. There was still a cover on the pool, but that didn't stop him. He tried to climb under the cover because as far as he was concerned, the pool is under there. He didn't realize how dangerous that was. And we are very lucky that he is still with us today. So elopement really can be very, very dangerous. When you're at an event with lots of family and friends, it might seem like all hands are on deck, but these situations can be overwhelming and might trigger elopement behavior. Communicate with your family and friends to make sure your child's safety is top of mind. So if you're in a crowd or in a group of your family and friends, don't assume someone is keeping an eye out for your child. There's what's called diffusion of responsibility. And when you're in a big group and something happens, it's natural to assume somebody else is going to handle it, which is why they teach you in first aid training that you don't just say, somebody call for help. You point to somebody and say, you call 911. Because if you just say, somebody call for help, nobody will call for help because everyone there assumes somebody else is calling for help. It's the same thing in this situation. Don't assume everybody is watching out for your child. Designate somebody. If you are not going to be the person watching your child because you need to tend to another one of your children, go to the bathroom, make everybody a plate of food, have a conversation with someone you haven't seen in a long time, then designate somebody else. Please keep an eye on my child. I will be back shortly. Come grab me if you need me. Be vocal about who is watching out for your child so it's always top of mind for someone, and let people know when you need them to tag in. So again, don't forget, Janie, you're going to keep an eye on Billy, okay, while I go and grab everybody a plate. And if he gets to be too much for you and you can't grab me, my husband's right over there, okay? Or Aunt Judy, please be sure to keep an eye on Sandy for me while I go run into the bathroom. And if for whatever reason she's too much and you need an extra set of hands, go grab my girlfriend. She's right over there. So again, be specific, be vocal. Let them know this is your responsibility right now, and this is your opportunity to say, I don't want that responsibility, so I can give it to someone else. But be vocal about it and be clear that the other person understands that you're expecting them to watch your child right now. And get that confirmation before you walk away. So let's talk about preventative strategies. When it comes to elopement, our first line of defense is prevention. So we can use visual supports and prompts, actual physical boundaries, service dogs, alarms and auditory alerts, tracking devices, identifying information, and we are going to discuss each of these in detail. So let's talk about some visual supports and strategies in terms of elopement prevention. Stop signs. You can post signs by the door to remind your child that they have to have an adult's permission to leave. If they don't stop completely, these signs can make your child stop for a moment, giving you the chance to catch them before they get out the door, okay? And again, you can do teaching trials of teaching them to walk up to the door where they see a stop sign, stopping and coming to get you, and then walking to a door that does not have a stop sign that they can go right through, like the bathroom, as an example. Additional supports and strategies, a tape guard or a stop guard banner. So you can put tape across the doors as a reminder to your child that they have to have an adult's permission to leave. They also have those banners where you can put the stop sign right on it to actually teach them. Again, when you see this sign, it means stop. Initially, there's a physical barrier there, but over time, you'll take that barrier away and the stop sign in and of itself should be enough. And again, if they don't stop your child completely, they could slow them down enough to allow you to get to them before they get out. You want your child to stand out visually. So if you are going into the community with them, use glow sticks, reflective or bright colored clothing to increase your child's visibility. So if you're at a crowded event and you need to locate your child from a distance, it'll be a lot easier to find them in a crowd if they are wearing something that stands out visually. We used to do this with my nephew all the time. To this day, he still wears a neon yellow hat, and we can find him relatively easily in a crowd. Again, additional physical boundaries might include a baby gate. Look at different kinds of baby gates that you can put to you can barricade the doorway to your child's room, or to in front of a door you don't want them to exit, or a room you don't want them to access. And if you're putting it in front of your child's doorway, it could keep them from eloping and leaving their room in the middle of the night so that you can get a good night's sleep. I once worked with a family who initially they didn't tell us that their child was eloping. The father was a policeman and he worked a lot of overnight shifts, and the mom started sleeping in the hallway in front of the child's doorway in the hopes that when he tried to leave his room in the middle of the night, he would trip over her and that would wake her up. We were able to tell something was going on because she physically looked exhausted. She was physically exhausted. And if she's physically exhausted, she is not at her best. And if she is not at her best, she is not able to prompt and reinforce and correct and prevent things from happening that she would have otherwise been able to prevent from happening had she not been exhausted. So don't sleep in front of your child's room, in front of their doorway. Get a baby gate, put up a barrier instead. Some kids actually need an enclosed bed because they might try to elope so much in the middle of the night, it may not actually be safe to just leave them in their room alone. So you can get, if this is an issue for your child, an enclosed bed with a locking system that can prevent unattended wandering. You can find this type of bed as a standard bed or as a portable bed to take with you when you travel. And you can see the pictures of some of the different kinds of enclosed beds, but these are only some of the kinds of enclosed beds. There are a lot of others. The safety sleeper is one of them. It's a child medical bed designed to prevent users from wandering at night. It has built-in padding, which reduces the risk of injury from uncontrolled movement or self-harming behavior like head banging, if that's an issue. It is custom built to fit the needs of every user. It is portable for travel, so you can feel at home in any location. And it can also provide that sense of similarity between where I sleep at home and where I sleep when we go on vacation. It has a variety of safety features, so the whole family can rest easy, and it's built from durable materials and enhanced joints to stand up against heavy, use, and play. It's fully enclosed to provide security and to prevent unattended wandering, and it comes in different sizes. Additional physical boundaries, deadbolts and locks. Another way to slow down or stop a child who is trying to leave the home without permission. You can use a keypad door lock. You could use battery operated alarms for sliding doors into your yard. You could use deadbolts. You could use key locks. You can use a keypad door lock. So anybody trying to exit the house needs to input a code. You can use an alarm system that also requires a code. You can have portable locks. So when you do travel or go on vacation and you're staying at somebody else's home or you're staying in a hotel, you can carry portable locks to provide you with extra security. In case of an emergency, you can remove this lock in seconds in the dark. And you should practice that. If you do get a portable lock, make sure that you practice removing it quickly and removing it quickly in the dark. You can actually put in physical boundaries like securing ground floor windows. If your child's bedroom is on the ground floor, you will also need to secure bedroom windows. Now you can do that with locks and alarms. Hardware stores carry special locks to secure windows or to only allow you to open them a certain amount. If your child breaks glass or pounds on windows, which some of my students do, you can replace the glass panes with plexiglass to prevent injury. Some parents even have to place wooden boards over the window to prevent injury or elopement, and that's okay. Initially, we will start with that because we need to keep your child safe and secure. We need to keep your home safe and secure. Over time, we will implement reward systems and communication systems so that eventually you can remove the barrier from your window. You can take the boards off, you can take the plexiglass away and replace it with actual paned glass. But in the meantime, if your child has broken windows, get plexiglass or get wood. If your child opens windows to get out, get a lock for the window. You can get fences with padlocks or locks for your gate if your child tries to elope from your yard. Again, had that family had a lock on their gate in the backyard because their child happened to elope from the rear of their house, he wouldn't have been able to get out of the yard. And had the neighbor had a keypad lock, he wouldn't have been able to get, or a lock on their gate, he wouldn't have been able to get in towards their pool. So padlocks and locks for the gate can be a last line of defense to keep your child from running into the road or off your property. Now, again, I do see that people have their hands raised. Please hold your questions. I will be doing question and answers at the end. If you are not able to stay for the question and answer period, even though if you do stay, you'll be entered in our raffle for a 30-minute one-on-one session with a coach of your choice. If you're not able to stay, you can also post your question in the Q&A box. But I do see there are some hands raised. I'm not ignoring you. Just please hold your questions until we do coaching. You can use, so if you do need a physical boundary because your child tries to elope when you're in the car or from the car, you can get seat belt buckle guards. It's a seat belt lock that's designed to prevent children from releasing the seatbelt while the car is in motion. One brand is called Angel Guard. The safety seatbelt release cover acts as a safety barrier that deters children from unlocking their seatbelts. You can also use a Buckaroo, which is just another brand, to ensure your child is safe inside your vehicle. Here are some additional physical boundaries. A safety wristband. If your child is someone who elopes in the community and you are worried that your child will get away from you, and if your child is someone who can kind of pull away when you're kind of holding their hand or is resistant to having their hand held, you can use a safety wristband that physically ties you to your child. If you have a runner and you're going to be in a crowded place, this is another potential option. Your child can only get so far from you. They cannot remove the wristband on their own. Service dogs. Not only can a service dog be an amazing companion, but can be a great help to prevent runners from getting away. If you're out and about and your child tries to run away, the service dog to which your child is attached will just stop, preventing his or her escape. So your child is attached to the dog, and if your child tries to run, the dog stops them from running. Again, if this is the purpose for getting yourself a service dog, you might want to get one that is of a decent size as opposed to a Yorkie, to which your child might just run and drag along behind them. Alarms and auditory signals. You can get battery operated alarms for your doors. If you don't want to get a whole full home security system, which can be expensive, you could get a battery operated alarm, such as the toddler monitor, which hangs on your child's door, sends an alert to your phone if they leave the room. So you can be in the kitchen making dinner, and if your child attempts to leave the playroom or their bedroom, you will get an alert to your phone. If the back door is open, if your child attempts to leave their room in the middle of the night. GE battery operated alarms are easy to install, inexpensive, and are available at many retail outlets like Walmart or Target, or can be ordered online. Additional auditory alarms, a sensor pad that has an alarm that can get triggered when your child gets up from the bed. So there are some alarms that it goes under the mattress and your child is the pressure on the bed keeps the alarm from going off. And if your child gets out of the bed without the pressure, it's like one of those pressure held grenades, you know, from a movie, without the pressure, the alarm goes off. There also is a pad that goes like under the rug that might be next to your child's bed. And if they get off the mattress and step on the rug, it'll trigger the sensor. So there are some that will go off without pressure, and there are some that will go off if pressured. You just have to find what works for you. A door stop alarm. So once somebody opens the door stopper alarm will go off, which again alerts you to your child opening the door. These are, again, less expensive. You set it, you trigger it, you slide it under the door. If they remove it in order to open the door, that's how the alarm goes off. A wander alarm motion detector, which can detect movement in the bedroom or hallway and can alert you if your child tries to leave the room, which again can be extremely helpful if you have a nighttime wanderer, or if, again, you need your child to stay in their bedroom or in the playroom while you do something in another room, like make dinner or help another child with homework, etc. You'll know if your child leaves the room or the designated area in which they are supposed to be. And of course, you can get a full security system and alarm. Installing a home security system on doors and windows will immediately alert you if your child opens the door, and of course, if anybody tries to access your home. You can also use tracking devices, wearable tracking devices, which will allow you to track your child and cuts down on the time it takes to find them. There's a wide range of wearable tracking devices that are available. As you can see from the pictures, these are just a small sample of the kinds of alarms that are out there, the kinds of tracking devices that are out there. So you can get a lanyard at AmberAlertGPS.com. You can get a watch at Aident Mobile. You can get a GPS tracker as a belt, as a shirt, as a vet's vest, or as a pouch at Angel Sense GPS. So again, if you just Google search for those keywords, it will bring you to a variety of different models and versions of all of those trackers. If you choose to use a personal locating device, parents should field test the equipment in different locations, in different terrain, and various types of weather, as if it were a real life situation. So if you do get a GPS tracker because you guys are going camping, make sure that you test it in an area that has similar Wi-Fi capability. Can it get wet? Does it work in the rain? How often do you have to charge it? Does the unit send information to your phone, or is there a station that has to be plugged in somewhere? So again, make sure you get the right device that suits your specific needs. So here are some considerations that you should keep in mind if you are getting a tracking device. Battery life. Does the unit have to be charged? How often? And is your child unprotected while the unit is charging? Water resistance. Can this unit be worn while bathing, swimming, showering? Will the unit transmit a signal underwater? Is the unit removable by the wearer? Is geofencing or perimeter notification available? So what that is if your child goes within, say, 10 yards of a given perimeter. So if they go within 10 yards of your house, or they go within 10 yards of these GPS coordinates, you will get an alert to your phone. What's the cellular service in your area or the area that you're going to be in? Will the unit work in the area of your home, in your child's school, etc.? Does the system involve trained emergency response personnel, or will it alert you, or will it alert you and first responders? Is the manufacturer accessible in case you have critical questions or challenges? Don't buy devices that are like off the market. Don't go to eBay for this. Like, get a new model that has a warranty and tech assistance, tech support. What are the costs involved? Are there monthly fees? Some of them have, and I know this because I had to look into it for my nephew once. Some of it has monthly monitoring, where just like you have somebody monitor the alarm for your house, they have GPS trackers where it'll monitor, where they'll monitor your child, and there might be a monthly fee for that. You can also use identifying information. You can get ID bracelets, shoe tags, ID cards, and temporary tattoos with your child's name and your phone number in them. This can help ensure your child's safe return if they run away or wander. Again, you can order these on Amazon. Alert Me bands and temporary tattoos with a purpose and safety tag. So you can see some examples of the ID cards on the screen, which can give whatever amount of information you want. You can search and print out and then laminate some of these, or you can just type up your own. You can include a photo or not include a photo. You can include information about your child's diagnosis or not. You can just say, my child is nonverbal, or I don't speak. Please call my mom, call my dad, etc. Here are some Alert Me wristbands that, again, you can get printed with contact details and important information, or some of them come blank and you can write in your own information. So again, this can communicate critical information like, I have autism, I am nonverbal, I get fidgety when I am anxious, etc., which can keep their behavior from being misinterpreted from somebody who may come across them if they're lost or wandering, who may not be familiar with their needs. It also alerts who to call in case of an emergency. So if somebody comes across your child and they have this information on them, they will know to call you. You can also get shoe ID tags, which are especially good for children who can't tolerate wearing an ID bracelet. So you can see in the top picture how the tag is attached to the shoelace, so it doesn't touch any part of your child's body, and they may or may not even care that it's on their shoe. And then in the closer up version, you can see what kind of information might be on such a band that would go onto a Velcro strap or a shoelace, depending on what kind of shoe your child wears. You can also have what's called KEELS, an in case of emergency card and medical alert system, which provides a safe, secure way for children to carry an in case of emergency card at all times. This KEELS card is located in a special pocket area of the KEELS shoe insert and is accessible only when needed. So, as you can see in the picture there, you see the inserts for the shoes, the blue and the black. The card, the information that you can also see in that picture, goes inside of that foot insert. And that insert goes inside your child's shoe as if it's the sole of their shoe. So again, they won't even be alerted to the fact that there's something in their shoe. And if they get lost, there's a sticker or a band that goes on the side of the shoe that alerts somebody that they should look inside there if they find this lost child. You can use a shoelace charm or a waterproof permanent sticker for shoes without laces that reads ice card in shoe insert. So again, somebody would know to go into the shoe, into the insert, and look for the identifying information. Or at least first responders would know that. You can also get lost and found temporary tattoos. Some kids will remove anything you put on them, tracking devices, bands, etc. So another clever way to provide them with the critical information that will be needed if they get lost can be lost and found temporary tattoos. Safety Tat is a fun and colorful temporary safety tattoo that's customized with your mobile phone number. When applied to the arm of your child, Safety Tat provides an immediate, highly visible form of child identification. So again, you can see some examples of what a safety tat might look like. And again, a temporary tattoo that would be put on your child. If it's going to bother them to have it like on this part of their arm, put it on the back of their arm so they can't see it, but it would be easily seen by an adult who might find your child if they are wandering. You can get an autism ID card, or you can print one out online, or you can create your own. This helps people on the autism spectrum explain their medical condition to police, EMTs, and other first responders in the event of an emergency. So again, it could say, like on the bottom here, it says, I have autism. My medical condition impairs my ability to communicate with others. As a result, I may have difficulty understanding your directions, and I may not be able to respond to your questions. I may also become physically agitated if you touch me or move too close to me. Please do not interpret this behavior as a refusal to cooperate. I am not intentionally defying your instructions. Over, please. And as you can see on the top, it has additional information, the child's printed name, your phone number if you want, etc., etc. With the child ID card in the middle, there's a place to put a photo, and again, personal information, whatever personal information you would want your child to be able to express to a police officer, an EMT, a fighter, or any other first responder. Now, we've talked about preventive strategies. Let's talk about clinical strategies. What do you do when the behavior, when the preventative strategies aren't enough? Well, one of the things you could do, and we're going to talk about each of these, you can teach alternative behaviors and communication. You can teach, want to identify wandering versus exit seeking. You can learn and practice de-escalation techniques. You can use social stories. You can teach your child safety-related skills. You can schedule access time. You can teach the timer, proximity and check-in training, and you can use consistent consequences, each of which we shall now discuss in detail. Again, my apologies if I am speaking quickly, but there is so much information in tonight's presentation that is important to give to you guys, and I want to have time for questions as well. So I apologize if I am going through this information quickly. Please feel free to go back and review the videotape later if you need additional reinforcement of these concepts. So let's talk a little bit about teaching alternative behaviors and communication. Teaching your child to react, respond, and modify their behavior is just as important as taking steps to safely ensure your physical space. Some helpful tools include trying to get to a preferred location. So if your child elopes to get to a place they love, teach them to request access to those preferred locations. This can be done through verbals, picture cues, an augmentative device, etc. If it's not a good time to go to the park, their asking provides you the opportunity to redirect them towards another activity and or to let them know when they can access the park. So this is something that has been very helpful. During one of my earlier elopement workshops, one of the parents had come on and had asked about some using some of the strategies with her child, and I had suggested putting pictures of the location that her child wanted to go, like right on the back of the door, so her child could go over and request with the picture and give it to mom to request to go outside or to request to go to the swing set or the pool, etc. And it was so helpful example, and the child really stopped escaping from the house and started to use the pictures as a way to mediate that need. So if your child is trying to escape an unwanted task, like homework or a transition or a loud noise or another stimulus they don't like, you can teach them to ask for a break or to ask for some help with what they're working on. While unwanted tasks can always be avoided, you can make them less stressful by breaking them into more manageable chunks or providing some help or assistance. So again, if your child is escaping to get to something, you want to teach them how to ask for that thing appropriately, show them in a schedule that it is coming up, etc. And if they're trying to escape something, you want to teach them to request that. It's okay to not want to do something. It's okay to need a break from something, but it's not okay to run away because you don't want to do something. You can just tell me you need a break, or use a picture or a sign or a PEX, or type it out, or however your child communicates best. Your child might be escaping an overwhelming stimulus, so they might run away when they feel overwhelmed. In this case, you want to work on teaching them coping strategies. For example, if they run away from noisy family gatherings, teach them to find a quiet space to calm down. You have to run out of the house. You can come into this bedroom and close the door and nobody will bother you. So again, we can teach them those coping strategies. We could also practice tolerating noises in like an ABA program, where initially maybe we record the sounds of people conversing and talking, and we play it on a very low volume and give your child a lot of reinforcement for tolerating it in the background at a very low volume. And when they can tolerate it at a low volume, then we can make the volume a little bit higher, a little bit louder, a little bit louder, a little bit higher, a little bit louder, a little bit higher. Before you know it, it's at the normal volume and they've learned to tolerate it. So now it's more likely they can tolerate it in the natural environment because they've already been able to tolerate it during practice. Your child might be eloping because they're expressing strong emotions. If your child seems to be eloping because they're having a really strong emotion, we want to teach them ways to communicate that to you or to another adult. If they're verbal, they can learn to talk about their emotions. If they're nonverbal, they can use pictures or PECs or signs or gestures or other visuals to express their feelings so you can help them cope with their emotions. So they can tell you they're mad or they're frustrated or they're disappointed or they're sad or they're impatient, etc. We want to teach them how to respond in certain situations. So you want to teach your child how to respond if they get lost. Teach your child to show your wristband to an adult. Teach your child to hand an ID card to an adult. Answer with your name if somebody asks your name. And if they can't do that verbally or they can't do that reliably when they're upset, then teach them to hand them their ID card. And you want to teach them to do it to a variety of cues. So you don't want to just teach your child, when I say, hand me your ID card or give me your ID card, that they give it to you, because somebody might not use those exact words. So first you want to teach your child, when you say, give me your ID card, that they give it. Then you want to teach them to give their ID card in response to things like, are you supposed to be here? Who are you? What's your name? What are you doing around here? Where are you supposed to be? What's going on here? So any of those kind of phrases that an authority figure might ask somebody who's not supposed to be somewhere that they're not supposed to be, teach them to give it the ID card or show you their bracelet under those conditions. Wandering versus exit seeking. So first you want to figure out, is your child wandering or are they exit seeking? Or do they do both under different conditions? Determining if the individual is more prone to wanting to leave environments rather than aimlessly wandering out of them can be a good way to assess which proactive and preventative strategies could be taken. So if you have a child who's more prone to wandering than exit seeking, you might want to take walks with them so they can get their energy out in a safe way. So if your child is just wandering, could be that they just want to take a walk. They just want to check out the environment. They have a little extra energy to burn. They just want to see what's going on around them. And they're just kind of wandering around, checking things out. Exit seeking is, I need to get to that, or I need to get away from here. If you know what your child is doing, again, we'll know which preventative strategies and which reactive strategies might be best. Now, you also want to learn and practice de-escalation strategies. An escalation in an individual's behavior due to various factors can result in elopement. So you want to bring that behavior down. So if anything can spark your child's behavior to escalate, right? It could be a variety of different things that you're aware of, or it could be something new that you didn't expect your child to react to in a certain way. Either way, when you get more fluent in how to de-escalate and to use de-escalation strategies, it could be a very good preventative strategy or reactive strategy once you see your child starting to get agitated. Practice deep belly breathing. Now, belly breathing is important, not chest breathing. So a good way to practice belly breathing is to put a hand on your belly, way down, right where your belly button is, okay? Put your hand on your belly. When you take a deep breath in, your hand should go out because you're filling your diaphragm with air. So you're sucking in air and your diaphragm is getting bigger, so your hand goes out. When you blow out, you're emptying your diaphragm of air, so your hand should go in. So when you exhale, your hand goes in. When you take a deep breath, your belly goes out. When you blow up, exhale, your belly goes in. Now, it's important to breathe deep belly breaths because that physiologically slows your heartbeat, slows your breathing, lowers your blood pressure, physically making you more calm. However, if you're doing deep chest breathing, it sends a signal to your brain that you're not getting enough oxygen, like you might be drowning or suffocating, and it'll increase your heart rate and you'll get more anxious and your brain will start to panic. So belly breaths calms your nervous system. Chest breathing puts your body more into a panic. Okay, so it's important to practice it the right way. Do a little yoga. A little yoga is good for everybody. Again, I don't expect you to be able to slow down your own blood pressure through your yoga movements. If you get to that point, hey, awesome, well, more power to you. But a little yoga, just a few simple movements, can really help de-escalate a situation, get somebody to calm down. There's a reason why yoga is calming. It's about breathing and stretching and being in the moment. And all of that is great de-escalation. Now you're saying, my 3-year-old can't do yoga. My nonverbal child with autism can't do yoga. Oh, yes, they can. There's a lot of yoga out there for kids. A lot of yoga for kids focuses on animals and animal movements, right? So you might be stretching up like a cat. Etc. Sing a song. Singing a song can definitely be a de-escalation strategy. It can redirect your child's attention. It can elevate their mood. Music and singing actually gives you like that serotonin and dopamine rush that makes you feel pleasant. So again, singing a song can help to de-escalate the situation, especially if your child hums or sings along with you. You can offer a reward incentive. Take a walk with your child, grab a snack, go to a quiet room, use deep pressure or weighted items to help with calming. I myself have a weighted blanket that I use for sleeping because it's very calming. So that deep pressure can really be helpful for anybody who's feeling stressed in that moment. You can count to 100, maybe doing those deep breaths or just simply counting to 100. It's about distracting yourself or distracting your child with something that can occupy their brain in a calm, productive way. You can only think about one thing at a time. Okay, actively thinking about one thing at a time, right? So if your child is now thinking about counting to 100, they're not necessarily thinking about what's upsetting them. Depending on your child's ability, I've instructed some of my kids in order to interrupt their own intrusive thoughts that can lead them to this spiral when they are anxious. Count backwards by 13s, count backwards by 17s. Do your 19 times tables, because that's not something that you could do quickly and easily in your head. It's something you actually have to think about. So if you're thinking about that, you're not thinking about your intrusive thought. You're not thinking about the thing that just made you anxious. It's making your brain, it's forcing your brain to switch to another channel, if that makes sense to everyone. Progressive muscle relaxation. Again, you can find scripts for this online, but basically progressive muscle relaxation is tensing your body. So we're going to do one muscle group at a time. I'll start with my hands. Tense, squeeze as hard as you can, and then release and relax as much as you can. Usually you'll squeeze on an inhale and relax on an exhale. Then I'll do my next body group. I'll tense my forearms, tense, 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 and relax, 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 okay? And you do one muscle group at a time, either going all the way down your body or all the way up your body, either out to your extremities or in from your extremities. Like I said, you can find progressive muscle relaxation scripts online until you get fluent at using the techniques yourself. But it can be extremely helpful for both you and your anxious child. Social stories are a great tool to use. These are stories with pictures and texts that can help explain a situation and expected behaviors by providing step-by-step instructions. You can customize the social story yourself by using pictures your child will recognize, maybe pictures of them and your family members, to help your child know what to do in order to stay safe in various situations, or you can purchase pre-made social stories. So again, pictures and a few words or sentences that your child will understand to help explain exactly what's expected of them in a given situation, or step-by-step instructions so that they know exactly what's expected of them in this given situation or what their options are. And then you just review the social stories with them frequently. And again, it becomes internalized and they start to memorize the story and remember those steps and those expectations. And now this whole event is no longer unpredictable. Twigtail. Autism Speaks has collaborated with Twigtail to develop teaching stories to help keep your child safe. You provide the personal details and Twigtail provides the scripted stories. So when you order a book from Twigtail, you can give them, say, your child's name and maybe the name of their siblings and your family members, and then you will get back a personalized story with that information in the published book. So stories include water safety, I stay in my house, police officer, my friend, if I get lost, and more. So check out Twigtail for a variety of pre-made stories and see if any of them will work for you and then get them individualized for your child. We want to teach safety-related behaviors. Your child has to learn safety skills that can help keep them safe across settings, whether they're at home, at school, in the community, on vacation, etc. The specific safety goals you will address will depend upon your child's individual skill level, needs, and risk factors, their tendency to wander, their impaired sense of danger, attraction to water, attraction to unfamiliar dogs, etc. Part of the danger of elopement occurs when children can't communicate important information or respond when someone says stop. Work with them on skills like stopping on command or saying their name and phone number when asked. So if you're teaching your child to stop on command, first you teach them to walk with you. You can keep your hand on their shoulder, put your arm around them, keep your hand on behind their back, and guide them to walk with you. And then as you say stop, you physically stop and physically prompt them to stop. Then you praise them. I love the way you stopped when I stopped. Good walking with me. Good stopping with me. Good stopping when I say stop. Or any of those behavior specific praise statements. And you can also give a reinforcer. A food snack, a point, a token, a star, a sticker, a pat on the back, pick them up and spin them around, like whatever works for your child. And keep practicing that. Eventually, you want your child to be able to stay by your side without you holding on to them, and for them to stop when you say stop without you prompting them to do so. So as they do it successfully with you touching them, you'll start to feel, wow, I really didn't have to stop him for that one. He's starting to respond to my words before I have to physically stop him. That's when you can, or her, that's when you can start fading the prompts away. Crossing the street, you want to teach your child about road crossing and how to cross the street safely. Not only crossing the street, but if you're walking on a sidewalk, paying attention to driveways. If you're walking across a parking lot, paying attention to cars coming in and out of spots. You want to teach your child to swim. Many children with autism are attracted to the water, making elopement near bodies of water extremely dangerous. This is related to sensory issues. So especially if your child has some sensory issues, they will probably be attracted to water, or if they've been attracted to water in the past. And even if they don't have sensory issues, a lot of kids are attracted to water anyway. Consider putting your child in swimming lessons to cut down on the risk this behavior presents. Teaching your child to swim does not mean your child is safe in the water. If that's what it meant, then anyone who knows how to swim would never drown, and that's not the case. If your child is in distress, again, sometimes those skills will just fly right out of your head in the moment, or you might hit your head or be in a position where you can't help yourself. But if you know how to swim, the chances that you can help yourself when you're in water dramatically increase. If you can get yourself to the side of a pool or get yourself out of a body of water, can be very, could save your child's life. If you own a pool, fence your pool. Use gates that self-close and self-latch higher than your children's reach. Use a lock if necessary. Remove all toys or items of interest from the pool while not in use. When I was very young, my brother was only 3 years old at the time, and we were at a friend's house and they had left some toys floating in the pool, and he saw this ball and this raft, and he thought he could just jump and land right on the raft and grab that ball, and well, he couldn't. Thank God he is still with us today. We saw what happened and helped him. But child without autism, just very impulsive, saw something pretty in the pool, wanted to go get it, and didn't stop to think that, I can't swim. He was 3, he was impulsive. So remove all toys and items of interest from the pool when the pool is not in use. Neighbors with pools, as I've mentioned before, should be made aware of these safety precautions and your child's tendency to wander. Recruit your neighbors, let them know they don't want your child to end up in their pool any more than you do. Final lessons should be with clothes on and shoes on, because again, if your child falls into a body of water, they're not going to be in their bathing suit. They're going to be in their clothes. So your child's final swimming lessons should be in clothes and shoes, because it is different. It's heavier. It's harder to move in water when you're in your clothes and your shoes. So that should be the final lessons that your child has. To find swimming lessons in your area, visit nationalautism.org, click on Autism and Safety, and then choose Swimming Instructions. If you do not see swimming lessons in your area, Google special needs swimming lessons plus your city and state. We want to also schedule access time. If your child is eloping because they have a unique fascination or are drawn to a specific activity like water, pools, lake, the dog park, CVS, you can allow your child to engage in those fascinations in an adult supervised controlled setting. Find ways to incorporate the fascination into daily activities so the child knows when to expect it. They don't have to now run away in order to gain access to their favorite place to go. They know it's coming up because it's right there in their schedule. We just have to finish these 3 things first, and then we'll go. Use drawings, pictures, games, videos, and other creative ways to satisfy your child's need to touch or explore items or activities of obsession. You can create a visual schedule that specifies when your child will have access to those items or activities of obsession. For example, if your child is fascinated by water, you might put water play at consistent times each day or at the same time each week. Schedule around times that are easily recognized, such as after dinner or before bath time. Make sure the child sees that the activity has an end time and is all done at that point. Teaching the timer. I am a big fan of the timer, and I do have a whole presentation just on teaching the timer, but that's for another night. This is a brief little intro on teaching the timer. Teaching your child that the sound of the timer means they're going to do something different can be very helpful for your child. They can learn that they will only have access to a preferred item or activity for a limited amount of time. They will also learn that they only need to tolerate non-preferred items or activities until the timer sounds. The non-preferred condition will not last forever. So if they're eloping towards a preferred item or activity, you can teach them that they will have access to that item or activity for a designated period of time, or that it's scheduled into their day or scheduled into their week. Once they know they can access that item or activity with some predictability, they no longer need to run away to gain access to it. Teach that after they request the item or activity appropriately, they will get access to it for a limited duration. If they're eloping away from something that they don't want to do, something non-preferred, you can teach them that they only need to tolerate that non-preferred condition for a limited amount of time, and then you'll do something else. The non-preferred condition will not last forever. Adding some predictability that can greatly reduce maladaptive behavior, including elopement. So you're eloping towards something you want. Teach your child to ask for that thing that they want, and then they can have it until the timer goes off, and then it's all done. If the activity doesn't have a natural end, like a puzzle, when you put the puzzle together, it's done, right? If it's something that's an open-ended activity, you get it until the timer goes off, and then we're all done until you ask for it again, or it comes back up on your next schedule. If your child's eloping to get away from something that they don't like, well, we're going to set the timer. And as soon as the timer's over, we're going to leave. We're not going to leave right this second. As soon as the timer's over, then we're going to leave. And depending on how aversive that thing is to your child, you can set the timer for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it happens to be. And as soon as the timer goes off, you're out. But you're not going to leave just because your child's starting to get fussy. Okay, we're going to teach the timer. When the timer goes off, we leave what you don't want to do. And when this timer goes off, you stop doing what you want to do. We teach the timer. It's also a lot harder to bargain with the timer than it is to bargain with you. Okay, let's look at the check-in training, okay? First, we complete a functional assessment to determine the reasons why your child is eloping, okay? We want to write down behaviors that come immediately before and immediately after each attempt or occurrence of elopement. That helps us determine the pattern, which helps us determine the function. So is your child eloping to get away from something? Are they eloping to get you to chase them because they want that attention from you? Are they eloping to get something that they want? Are they eloping to get away from something they don't want? What is it? Or are they just wandering because they have some excess energy to burn off? Once you find what the function is, you reinforce the child for remaining within a designated area of a caregiver. So within 4 feet, within arm's reach, within the same room, on this rug, whatever visual or whatever boundary you set for your child. I like on the rug, like on this rug, and you can put down like a rug square or a piece of carpet that designates this area. And you're going to reinforce for increasing duration. So right now you only have to stay on the rug for 30 seconds and then you get your reinforcer. After you're able to do that consistently and successfully for a few days, now it goes up to 45 seconds. Eventually it goes up to a minute and you get a little bit more of your reinforcer for increased time on the rug. You want to teach your child to check in with you at fixed intervals. So they're going to check in with you every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes during periods of low supervision. So once they've learned to stay in this designated area, say for 10 minutes, okay? So you're going to stay in this room for 10 minutes. you're going to check in with me every 2 minutes, or you're going to check in with me every 5 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to be in the other room, and in 5 minutes, you're going to check in with me. You're going to deliver potent reinforcement for checking in. Okay. And giving that reinforcement while their child is checking in can really motivate them not to wander if you have a powerful reinforcer. So after 5 minutes, you can set a timer. When that timer goes off, your child can, hey, mom, I'm still in here, still playing, I'm okay. Or they could come to you, sign, hand you a PEX, give you a gesture, use one word, tap your arm, give you a hug, and then go back into the room. So they're going to check in with you on designated intervals, depending on how verbal they are or with an actual physical check-in, okay? And when they check in on that interval, they're going to get a big reward from you, a big reinforcement for that. If your child does wander, you're going to know right away because they're not going to be there for that check-in, right? So if they're checking in every 2 minutes, they've only got a 2-minute head start on you. If they're checking in every 5 minutes, they've only got a 5-minute head start on you. And if you're using some of those preventative measures like the alarms and the barriers and things like that, that could also alert you as to if they're attempting to elope the house or did they just step out of that room. A vibrating alarm that can be carried in the child's pocket can be a good prompt to seek out that caregiver and check in. So you can have a timer in the room. You can put a vibrating timer, a watch with a vibrating timer on your child. You can get a timer that vibrates, put it right in your child's pocket, and that's their cue to come and find you. Modeling and role playing. You want to practice the desired behavior and variations on specific details to practice ways to act safely in realistic situations. Now, again, depending on your child's capability will determine how much role modeling, role playing and modeling you're going to do. But this can be very helpful for a wide variety of kids. Be Safe, the movie, uses video modeling to teach viewers how to interact safely with the police. The video teaches people with autism what to do in different police encounters, ranging from a casual meeting to an actual arrest. So this is a great video to buy for your child, depending on their age and whether or not they elope into the community and their likelihood to encounter police. Maybe you have a lot of police presence in your neighborhood, and when you go for a walk around the block, your child might very well run into a police officer. This can be a great video to teach them how to act during that encounter. You want to utilize consistent consequences across all settings. Consistent reinforcement for safe behavior across all settings. Anytime your child does something that's safe, they check in with you. They ask for permission for something. Anytime they do anything that's safe behavior, you want to reinforce that so it's likely to happen again. And you want to use consistent consequences for unsafe behavior across all settings. So if the rule is no running by the pool and your child runs by the pool, you have to have a consistent consequence for that. You also want to create an emergency plan, okay? Develop an emergency plan for your family. Share your emergency plan. ICE for autism. Wearable tracking devices, flyers and leaflets, the Find Them Sent Kit, alert your child's school, each of which we will discuss in detail. Emergency plan for your family. So emergencies happen. It's important to have a plan in place to make sure your child is found quickly. God forbid they get away from you. While you're upset and in a crisis is not the time to try and think of all the information you might need. It's better to be proactive and put this information together in advance and hope that you never need to use it. How will you and your spouse get in touch with each other? What calls will be made? Police, neighbors, neighborhood watch, and who will make each of these calls? Which places should be checked first? Dangerous places, preferred places, etc. Here's an example of an emergency plan. It has all of the information on there as far as who should do what, who's responsible for which action if the child gets away. And again, another emergency plan, there's a spot to put a recent picture, which you will want to update each and every year. And you want to share your emergency plan that you've developed with your child's school, with babysitters, and with any other caregivers. Anyone who is responsible for your child should be familiar with the emergency plan. Detail when they should call 911, what to do when the child is found, and any other important information. Always search nearby water and busy streets first, since they can pose such an immediate risk to children. Okay, ICE4 for autism. This is the only autism-specific in case of emergency mobile app, okay? In case of emergency for autism. It easily stores vital information about your child's unique and individual needs directly on your iPhone or iPad, making the information first responders or ER personnel will need immediately accessible. ICE for Autism also includes an Alert My Emergency Contacts feature, which sends an emergency alert text message to the user's emergency contacts. Really great for when your child is not in your presence, for your teen, etc. Wearable tracking devices, which I have mentioned earlier in the presentation. I'm not going to go through all of the specifics on this now. Again, refer back to my earlier slides in the presentation on wearable tracking devices, which again cuts down on the time it takes to find your child. You want to make flyers and leaflets. You want to keep up-to-date information, cards and leaflets about your child that you can distribute in case of an emergency. You can give these to neighbors, first responders, caregivers, and anyone else necessary if your child elopes. This can include information such as your child's name, picture, calming method, necessary medical information, physical description, a picture, I said picture already, sorry, emergency contact, any applicable tracking information if they have a GPS tracker, etc., favorite places, favorite things. Don't touch, don't shout, don't approach quickly, etc. That can be really vital information for a first responder to have. So again, some examples of flyers and leaflets. And again, you can Google autism elopement alert form, family emergency plan, and you can get templates for all of these, or you can create your own. The Find Them Scent Kit. Providing your child's personal scent to search and rescue first responders saves valuable time in emergency. Again, we want to use these preventative measures and hope we never ever need to use them. Okay, the Canine Bloodhound Tracking Kit will make it'll make sure that first responders have an uncontaminated scent to track, which makes it more likely they will have a successful outcome and a safe recovery of your child if they need to employ search and rescue dogs, which again, we hope never ever happens. But if it does happen, better that they have your child scent on file. You want to alert your child's school. As I mentioned before, almost 30% of all elopements occur at school. You might also leave leaflets at the school that we've mentioned and discuss the emergency plan with your child's school. Ask what the school's policy on wandering prevention are. Write a letter requesting that you always be informed in writing of any wandering incident in or out of the building, because they don't have to actually inform you if that is not part of your plan on your child's IEP or specified in writing. If your child is an active wanderer and poses safety risks, consider addressing wandering issues in his or her IEP or personal care plan. Again, they can tell you that they'll do anything that they want to tell you that they will do, but if it's in the IEP, they have to do it. They are legally bound and accountable for doing it. So if your child's teacher goes out on maternity leave and a replacement teacher comes in, they already have all of that information right there because it's in the IEP. Take note of all architectural barriers, fences, walls, gates, etc., around the school, daycare, or summer camp, or the lack of such features. Make the facility aware of any lack of barriers and ask for barriers to be put in place. Again, your child should not be excluded from anything that any child without autism would not be excluded from just because they might be an eloper. That behavior is related to their disability and therefore should not exclude them from being included in a specific camp or daycare, etc. But they still have to keep your child safe, which means they might have to put up a fence. Here is a sample wandering prevention letter. So again, you can Google sample wandering prevention letter, and you can Google school alert IEP letter for elopement or wandering, and you will get these I got from Autism Speaks and the big red box, which I'm going to give you information on where you can find this stuff on one of my later slides. Special needs student profile for educators. Okay, so again, you can Google that and you will get this form. 7 steps to preventing wandering at school. You can also Google search that and print that out and share that with your child's school. If your child is an eloper, you want this document in your child's records and reviewed at the CSE meeting. Because again, if it's in the IEP, they have to address it. Make sure you review this at the CSE. Here are examples of safety goals that can be included in a behavior plan or on your IEP. Responding to your child's name, responding to questions about personal information, such as their name, address, and telephone number, etc. Requesting help when lost, safely crossing the street, identifying boundaries, do not leave the house, do not leave the yard, do not leave past this rug, etc. Refrain from running away or bolting. Get sensory needs met in an appropriate way, learning water safety, requesting attention or fun interactions, especially when eloping becomes a game of chase me. So all of these are goals that can be put on your child's IEP. You also want to alert first responders in your area, or if you're going on vacation, alert first responders in the area of which you will be going on vacation. You want to prepare first responders, contact your local police precinct, Project Lifesaver and Safety Net tracking systems programs, Smart 911, each of which we shall now discuss in detail. So you want to prepare first responders. The family emergency plan, the flyer, can all be shared with first responders. It's important for them to know which children in the community might wander, have their family contact information, and have a plan to respond. Tools and training materials are available through the AWARE with 2 A's organization, AWAARE, Autism Speaks Safety Project, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Many local police departments train their officers to support families with children who have special needs, and you can find out if your local police department is one of them. And if not, you can get some of those programs to be delivered at your local police department, so they will be trained, or fire department, or EMTs. Contact your local precinct. If possible, arrange to introduce your child to the local police officers to establish contact and familiarity. Let your child know these are part of our team. Inform the first responders of specific things that might be important to know about your child, like, do they have an impaired sense of danger? May they wander to bodies of water, traffic, unfamiliar dogs or animals, or other dangers? Do they have delayed speech and language skills? Do they use an alternative or augmentative method of communication? Do they not respond to his or her name or verbal commands? Do they avoid eye contact? Do they engage in repetitive behavior like rocking or hand flapping, spinning, toe walking, pacing, etc.? Do they mimic words or phrases, which again could be misinterpreted? Do they have sensory perception issues? Do they not understand personal space, which again can be very quickly misinterpreted by a police officer? Do they have epilepsy or a seizure disorder? Do they fear a person in uniform or exhibit curiosity and reach for object or equipment like shiny badges, handcuffs, weapons, etc.? Do they hide in tight spaces or small spaces? Smart 911. This allows citizens to provide additional details that 911 call takers might need in order to assist them during an emergency. With Smart 911, anytime you make an emergency call from a phone registered with your safety profile, the 911 system will recognize your phone number and will automatically display your profile on the screen of the call taker who receives your call. You can include medical details for any member of your household, enabling responders to have more information before they arrive on scene. This includes information on medical conditions, allergies, disabilities, and medications. At a time when you may be panicked or unable to communicate, or it could be unsafe to communicate, Smart 911 ensures that the details you would need to tell 911 are immediately available in the event you cannot verbally provide them. This is a great tool for any member of your household that might have any kind of medical or special needs. Smart 911 is free, private, and secure. Project Lifesaver and safety net tracking programs. This is a program that's implemented by professionally trained emergency response personnel. Project Lifesaver provides equipment, training, certification, and support to law enforcement, public safety organizations, and community groups throughout the nation. Check to see if there is a Project Lifesaver or safety net tracking system in your area. Project Lifesaver, visit projectlifesaver.org and click on Where We Are link to enter your zip code. Safety net tracking. Visit safetynettracking.com and enter your zip code in the check availability field. If there is no first responder tracking program in your area, call Project Lifesaver International at 877-580-LIFE. That's 877-580-5433. Or call Safety Net Tracking at 877-434-6384. Again, that's 877-434-6384, and request informational materials be sent to your address. Now, some considerations to remember. Will my child be okay wearing a device, or will they try to remove it? Does that device need to be water resistant? Is the mobile network in the area he or she frequents working consistently? This is if you're using a GPS tracker device. Is it battery operated? And if so, how long does the battery last? Is my child always at risk of eloping, or are there specific situations that increase that likelihood? Does your child have favorite hiding spots, both inside and outside of the home, which they visit during times of stress or exploration? Summary and checklists. Here is a caregiver checklist tool, which again, you can get on the big red box, from the big red box, or you can search for a caregiver checklist tool elopement. Again, safety and wandering prevention. You can go to Autism Speaks, Autism Safety, Safety and Wandering Prevention Checklist, and get this information as well. The big red safety box is a free of charge toolkit. You might have to pay $8 for shipping and handling, but for most, it's free for most autism families in need as a means to educate, raise awareness, and provide simple tools that can help in preventing and responding to wandering related emergencies. Okay, NAA's big red box includes the following resources that you will get for free or just for the price of shipping and handling. You will get educational materials, including the NAA's Be Ready booklet. You will get 2 GE door window alarms, including batteries. You will get 1 road ID bracelet or shoe ID tag. You will receive instructions on how to submit your custom personalization order at the website mentioned here. You will get 5 adhesive stop sign visual prompts for your doors and windows. You will get 2 safety alert window cling for your car or home windows. You will get 1 child ID kit from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. To apply for the NAA Big Red Safety Box, you must be the primary caregiver of an individual with an autism diagnosis, be 18 years or older and a resident of the United States, agree to the terms and conditions stated in the application, and be a first-time recipient. Previous recipients are not eligible to apply. Orders will be canceled. You get 1 free box per household. Apply only once. Multiple requests will not be processed. Limit 1 box per family. Allow up to 3 weeks for NAA to review your application and deliver your big red safety box. And you can get information on the big red safety box at nationalautismassociation.org. Okay, general resources. This is the page you need to remember, take a screenshot of, or come back and review this screen later when you have a pen and a paper to write down this very valuable contact information. Okay, National Autism Association, nationalautism.org. Aware collaboration at aware.org. And I do believe that aware.org should have 2 A's in it. My apologies. Autismsafetycoalition.org. For swimming lessons, the YMCA listing at nationalautism.org. Super Swimmers at superswimmersfoundation.org. For child safety products, you can get the NAA Big Red Safety Shop at nationalautism.org. You can get tracking systems, ID, and home security products at projectlifesaver.org, at safetynettracking.com, at angelsense.com. Sorry, that should not be ABG, that should be ANG, angelsense.com, medicalert.org/autism, Vivint Home Security at vivintgivesback.org, Service Dogs. You can get blessingsunleashed.org for information on service dogs, or 4 pause for ability.org. That's the number 4 PAWSFOR ability.org. So let's go over just a little bit of information here in terms of how we at Champions for Our Children can continue to help you guys help your kids. Okay. Unfortunately, to tell you that providing lifetime help and assistance for a child with autism can run an estimated $1.4 million over the course of their lifetime. That includes communication devices like iPads, and that doesn't cover the costs of repairing them. That could be $200 to $600. iPad apps and software. An actual AAC device can run up to $800. Diapers for non-potty trained children can be $1,800 a year, according to Autism Speaks. ABA therapy at just 10 hours a week can cost $62,400 a year. Speech therapy, 1 hour a week, can be $5,200 per year. So multiply that by, if you want to do 2 speech therapy a week, or 3 speech therapy a week, or 5 speech therapy a week. OT therapy, once a week, $5,200. PT as well. So again, multiply that by 2 or 3, depending on how frequently per week your child needs those services. Food therapy can be $12,000 a year. Therapy for you can be $7,200 a year. Marriage counseling and relationship therapy, not even included on here, an extra cost as well. Total $100,900 a year, or $8,400 a month you can spend on all of these services for your child. So, Champions for Our Children's Masterclass. We have an autism mom and a life coach. We have our mindset coach. We have a variety of trained and experienced BCBAs, one of whom is on the autism spectrum himself. We have a speech language pathologist who's also an autism mom, mindset coaches who are also autism moms, a registered dietitian, also an autism mom. Okay. So take a look at this email from Kim Hoffman in Oregon. Wanted to drop us a quick email, knew we were busy, but wanted to take a minute to say thank you. When they first found us, Easton was 3, and I couldn't get a firm diagnosis nailed down. He had maybe 20 to 30 words, 0 social skills, was not potty trained, didn't know his name, and my biggest wish was just to hear him say, "I love you, Mom." We lived in a country with 0 access to ABA, so I just assumed it was out of the question. I figured my only option was to fall in line and take what the school would be able to provide and just hope for the best, even though I knew it would never be enough. I found you the same day I had one of his IFSP follow-ups. I was defeated and overwhelmed after they had asked me to list some of Easton's strengths. I sat there almost in tears as I struggled to come up with an answer. I told myself never again would I ever be in that position. I had to find him help, and luckily I found you. Today, I had a meeting with the school regarding him starting kindergarten. He is set to be placed in a general education class 80% of the time. He is fully potty trained, has no aggressive behaviors, and is able to self-regulate. He transitions smoothly and is learning to advocate for himself more and more each day. Both his fine and gross motor skills are on par with his peers, which was never the case before. His speech is still blossoming, but he has grown leaps and bounds. He has access to ABA, which has made all the difference. He tells me he loves me on a daily basis. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, had I not found you, we would not be here. I sometimes worry about what could have been had we not. Luckily, that isn't our reality. I don't attend any of the live meetings any longer, but I listen back to them. I put them on in the car, when I walk, or while I'm getting ready. I've been able to take something from each one, my most recent being the leisure iPad. That's genius. Listening to them keeps me focused and driven. It lifts me up and keeps my momentum going. I know the work has to be tedious and time consuming, but I want you to know it is so appreciated. It's truly made all the difference in my life, and most importantly, Easton's. I am so thankful for you and your entire team. You have literally turned our life around, and I can't tell you what that means to our family. What you do for people is beyond amazing. You are truly our lifesaver. Thank you. Kim Hoffman from Oregon. This is just one of the families that has indicated to us how much help we have provided for them and their child and their whole family, and how worth it has been for them to be a part of our master class. So why should you join our program? Well, you get personalized strategies for exactly where your baby is at. A potty trained child, we have a 100% success rate. You will start to reconnect to your child because communication is finally in place. We're going to get to the root level of your child's problem behavior and treat it, not just treat the symptom. When life happens, we can help get you back on track. If a regression happens, we will tell you exactly how to handle it. We're going to learn from trial and error rather than quitting on the kids, because the only true failure is quitting. We're going to teach you how to build that champion mindset so you no longer have to worry about autism every minute of every day. You'll get your independence back too. We have our 3-month group coaching program with guaranteed results. What you get when you join, you get potty training, communication, stopping problem behaviors, social skills, picky eater protocol, mindset training, stopping eloping, building out every month. You get lifetime access to the self-study program. You can do it in 30 days, or you can take your time because you have lifetime access to the web portal. And this is what makes us the Harvard of autism. So you get lifetime access to the self-study vault. You get 3 to 4 live group coaching calls where you learn from the experts. Michelle, the autism mom and life coach, you'll come on to call to craft out a personalized plan for your baby. A BCBA, Armando, myself, Stacy, or Julie, we will teach you how to get your child to the big 3 with effective ABA strategies that you can do at home with them. The mindset coach will help keep your mindset in a place where you stay determined to help your baby. Everyone gets their questions answered. You also get monthly specialist calls, a registered dietitian who's also an autism mom, a speech language pathologist who's also an autism mom. Again, everyone gets their questions answered. You also get a private Facebook community where you never feel alone again. You post what you need, we check the group daily, or you can email directly. When you join, we're family. Your baby is our baby. Support is truly our North Star. You can email in between calls, and we have an action-back guarantee. If after 90 days you do not get the results you came for, you stay in the program until you do, or you get your money back, whichever one you want. You either stay until you get your results or you get your money back. How much better can that possibly be? And you get a bonus. You get one private session with me. One-to-one private sessions with Michelle. You get a 20-minute private session with Michelle, which is like $1,000 value right there. You get a 20-minute private session with any of the BCBA coaches. Again, $1,000 of value, okay? So you get the lifetime access, the live coaching calls, the monthly specialist calls, the private Facebook community, the email between calls, the action back guarantee, and the private session with Michelle and a private session with the BCBA. And as a second bonus, you automatically get 5 months in the program instead of 3. That's right. You have 5 months to get your results before you need to ask for more time or your money back, which you won't need to do because we are here for you guys. That's 70+ calls to change your lives, to change your child's life. Third bonus, you will get $500 off the program price if you join by midnight. That's right, you sign up by midnight, we take $500 right off the top of the price right there. Book by tonight. Okay, for Potty Power students only, okay, let's see, for an investment of $24.97, okay, $500 off, or 3 payments of $878, or 4 payments of $660, that's only $16 a day. $16 a day. Think about what you can blow $16 a day on and how much help this can provide for you and for your family. All bonuses go away after midnight, so join now. Click the link in the chat box. Go into the chat box right now and click that link so you can have access to all of these benefits. Now, you might be thinking, can I afford to spend the money on this? Or you might be thinking, this is expensive. Well, what do these thoughts mean to you? I'm too busy, or I don't know if now is a good time. It's either a priority to get this done now, or it's a priority to have an excuse not to. I need to think about it. Indecision is more damaging than a wrong decision. Like, make a decision one way or another, yes or no, but don't waver in the middle because you'll never make a decision that way. I failed so many times. I've tried everything. How is this going to be different? Well, so what if you failed? The discomfort you fear experiencing, you're already living it with the way things are with your child right now. Staying in fear is the reason your child is still in diapers. Like, take the step, take the leap, and we can help with all of that. I am either learning or winning. So let's just take a brief moment to mention unicorn syndrome. Like, well, Juliana is different than my child. My child has severe autism. This works for other kids, but it won't work for mine. My child is broken. I'm broken. There's nothing out there that's going to change my child's trajectory. This is a self-preservation state, because if you stay here, you never put yourself out there to have hopes and dreams for your baby. And if it doesn't happen, you won't be hurt. Subconsciously, you're basically saying, I can't risk trying and failing. I just won't survive it. But sitting in I don't know, or asking yourself these questions that have no real answers, keeps you stuck. It keeps you not taking action to help your baby now. Indecision is keeping you second guessing and losing precious time that you could be making progress, that your child could be making progress. Nothing comes from an I don't know, or questions you can't answer that don't help anybody. Just decide. Decide you're not ready and you don't want to do the work, or decide you're nervous, but you're willing to go for it. Give yourself the gift of a decision. Honor yourself and your child right now. If fears and worry are dominating your day and night, join us. If there's something in you that identifies with what I've taught you today, and if it makes sense, take the leap of faith and join us. Saying yes will have you and your baby moving forward today. So Again, if you book into the program by midnight, you will get a private session with Michelle, a private session with the BCBA, 5 months in the program instead of 3, and $500 off. All the bonuses go away after midnight. You can still join the class, but you're just not going to get the extra bonuses. So please book that call tonight. Click the link in the chat box and in your email. Okay. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. Take the word of some of our other members, hear what they have to say about joining our program. They were where you are. Now let's hear where they are right now.
All right, so now, I guess, where are you now? You and your child, now that you've joined the program.
He's awesome. He is fully potty trained now.
But now he go outside and he's not in the house because we've learned to let him use the bathroom.
They're doing really, really well. Both are potty trained. I'd say 95% of the time, doing really, really well.
Obviously, potty training is huge. You know, just a lot of things.
He's totally potty trained. We go everywhere, just in our undies. We don't have to worry about that.
He honestly now is 85% potty trained. Now and then he has some accidents, but he pretty much is able to go on his own.
I was scared I was going to be one of those parents that their child was not going to be potty trained.
We did the 3-day intensive, like you suggested. And Ezra is potty trained, 100% no accidents for P.
2 weeks ago, we completely removed the diapers in the night.
Yes, it's very exciting to have him potty trained, and that was our goal first.
I just want to say that within a month of being in the program, Jude was potty trained, both number 1 and number 2. He hasn't been in a pull-up for over 4 weeks.
Every day we got the service for him in 3 months. He's potty trained, he's more verbal.
He's potty trained. I take him to the potty, he pees. He has no accidents and he loves going to the potty. There's no problematic behavior.
And we're locking step, and I think because he's got the pooping down and he's very independent for the whole process.
You know, I started listening to tips from Michelle, got involved in the course, and in the first couple of weeks, my son was fully potty trained.
And I know you're giving some advice to help him stay dry overnight, which has been helping. And it's been wonderful for me.
You and your team like help pull that out. It's amazing. You know, it's amazing what you guys do.
God, yes. Like, we go everywhere now. We have no diapers with us. I always just take a little spare for the just in case he gets an accident. But he'll tell us. We'll go to the mall and he'll tell us that he says potty. Or he'll see a door that looks like it might be a bathroom door and he'll pull you in, like he wants to go in there. And we go to the potty like in the mall. It's incredible.
It has been absolutely life-changing for me.
Absolutely. Hands down of everything we've done. You guys have a gift.
100%. I do recommend it.
This is going to help you.
You'd be crazy to not get in this program if you have concerns about your child.
Absolutely. And I have already been recommending.
It's amazing.
Just do it.
Yes, definitely. You guys need to do this program. It'll change you guys and your child's life tremendously.
And those are all families that have been working with us, so you can hear right from them how helpful this program has been. So take the leap, click that link in the chat box. Please book your calls so that we can continue to provide